2 spots of the top 4. A win or a draw puts them in prime position. Stephen Honor, the reigning Offensive Player of the Week in the conference. The freshman having an outstanding campaign, and we're underway from the grounds here in Charlottesville. Matt Edwards on the ball. Then key is he's gotten back healthy to the feet of David Brisedo, who gets that start in the number 9 spot. Carlos Samuano told me he's much more comfortable in that middle part of the field, Devin, but he's been playing out wide left most of the season.
And the entire front 3, they started hot, but over the last couple of matches, it's cooled off, and it's not just chance creation, it's goals as well. And it's one thing if you don't exactly have the same metrics, 20, 15 shots a game, whatever it may be, that you see from teams like Clemson or Wake Forest, because if you're producing 5 or 6 real good opportunities and you're scoring, that doesn't really matter. But UNC hasn't been there. So there's only 2 goals in the last 3, both of them coming in their win over Louisville. They've got to find a way when they start to move forward to start producing better quality chances, not these half efforts that we've seen from 15, 20 yards out, especially against the quality of goalkeeper you're going to face tonight in UVA and Joey Petruni.
Sam Williams on the ball, and Quincy Herman did score one of those goals in that 2-0 win against Louisville last weekend, but he is out with an injury. Nice 1-2 play. Here's Bawa. He's got Brisedo in the middle. Bawa back heel looking for Andrew Czech, who does win that battle. He's kind of crowded out by Reese Miller. Eventually, Petruni didn't want to come off his line to get the ball, and it'll go out for a corner for Carolina. Should Petruni have come out there and claimed that?
I'm always a big fan of a goalkeeper just getting everybody out of the way. Have that full commanding presence of the box. If you're willing to get anywhere near the 6-yard box, understand that there's a freight train coming through. I would also make the same argument for the center back. Yeah. That if you're standing there and you feel like there's a threat, take control of the situation and remove it.
Bawa to take the corner. Driven ball toward the spot, headed out by the big man Aiden O'Connor. Headed down and onto the foot of Mangarov. And just kind of hooks it forward. Matt Edwards scoops it up. Sam Williams, all ACC freshman team on the ball in the middle. 7 pops it out to Riley Thomas, now their left back. He's been a stalwart at center back through his career at North Carolina. Matt Alquak was just on it. Devin, obviously a lot to play for. This isn't the tournament yet, but you are playing for ACC tournament seeding. You're playing for an NCAA tournament resume. Both these teams will be in the big dance later in November. What are these games like to play in terms of when the stakes are ratcheted up just a bit?
Well, mentally, it's certainly testy, we'll say. The nerves start to creep in, and especially this time of year as well for some of the older guys too. What are the pro scouts looking at? Is this going to be one of my last games of my collegiate career? So it's real easy to tighten up, but you shouldn't think that way. The way you should think is, it's the next 90 minutes. What was the preparation that went on this week in terms of matchups? Did I do the right things to help my body recover from the last match? When you start to simplify things and help make it easier for guys, that's when you start to find success.
This could find success. Right to Alquak. Heavy first touch, though. He goes down to the edge of the box. No call by Lucas Feathers, the center official. Honor gets one of his first touches, and not a good one. Honor's been prolific, but this North Carolina defense, as we've said, Cordes, who's played, this is his 10th game now due to injury, as you mentioned earlier. First in the nation in save percentage, just under 91%, and Brisedo's going to draw the foul there. He's been great, 4th in the nation in goals against average, but as a team, sorry, that's as a team. He's 2nd, but as a team, they're .57. Why has North Carolina been so good defensively?
They've had to deal with injuries and rotation, and so you have this calculated patience about them. So if Matt Edwards was at right back or left back, if Riley Thomas was one of the 2 center backs or moving at the outside right back position, so much rotation has caused certain areas to just slow the game down. I've said to you before, and I maintain this, many a manager do, that sometimes the most simplistic method is not only the easiest, it's the best. So if you just make the game easier, stay here, we don't need all this rotation and patterns of play, and you'll see from their outside backs, they will get aggressive and they'll go. They don't necessarily both go at the same time though, so they don't overexpose themselves. Makes it very difficult for attackers to drive through.
Tiam, good pressure there on Williams and Edwards and Williams. He ends up winning the ball. A transfer from Oregon State via Radford. Started his career at Radford, 3 years at Oregon State, all Pac-12 player. Head out there because Terry Boss was there, former UVA assistant coach, associate head coach here under George Gelnevach. This is the aforementioned Gelnevach, and absolute legend in this game. 28 years UVA head coach. Look at all those wins. 2 NCAA tournament titles as a manager, 5 ACC tournaments, 6 college cups. He's been part of all 7 of the stars above the crest for UVA as either a player, an assistant, or the head man here in Charlottesville. And this year, he's tweaked their system again, Devin. They started off slow, playing a 4-3-3, went to this 3-5-2, and kind of been running ever since.
He said that, you know, they really started the journey last year, to be fair. And historically, this team sits in a 4-back system, whether there's 2 holding midfielders or the single pivot on the inside. That's the way that they've chased their titles, and they've been successful doing so. But he actually said that, you know, the pressing patterns and the personnel that he had last season, which is now funneled in the same conversation this year, made it much more formidable for the success. You'll see high amount of aggression in the outside wings. Cue it.
There might have been an opportunity here. Paul Visa kind of nudged off the ball by Riley Thomas, and Visa's stuck in the fencing down there. He finally gets up back to his feet.
They just go about it a little bit different, Alan. And so, you know, the aggression on the attacking side that you just saw is certainly going to be ever present. But defensively, a lot of teams that sit in a 3-back system will actually force you with your strikers up top and push you to the inside, because that's where they convolute most of their bodies and the space. They go from the outside. This is where they start to push numbers outside, get into the wings, make you feel uncomfortable, and they've been very impressive doing so.
Thomas with the throw, looking for Bersato. Plays it back to Edwards. Edwards, the junior from Apex, North Carolina, out to Bawa. It's touch heavy, and down goes Umberto Pela, the sophomore from Milan, Italy. Had a good professional career out there. Played for Como 1907. The club was played in the Serie B, the 2nd division in Italy. Welcome to Klockner Stadium here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Alongside Devin Kerr, I'm Dallin Cuff. 0-0 early between the Cavs and the Tar Heels. This is the final day of the ACC men's soccer regular season, and all to play for. That coveted top 4 spots in the ACC tournament gets you a bye past Wednesday's first round. Virginia's in place to do that. If they get a result today, a win or a draw, they get one of those top 4 seeds. Which one? TBD by the other games going on in this hour right now. We'll keep you updated on what's going on around the conference as well. For North Carolina, they cannot reach the top 4 seeds, but with a win or a draw, it guarantees they will be hosting a game Wednesday in the opener. Seeds 5 through 12 play there. 1 through 4 hang out. Good ball in by Reese Miller, looking for Stephen Anor. Team's leading goal scorer lays it off. Paul Visa making that run, and Sam Williams will just boot it out. Devin, what have you seen so far in the first 9 minutes here? So
I've seen some really interesting mistakes coming off the back line from UVA. They're very good at distribution. You'll notice that they will try and push the tempo to immediately get the ball up top to all of their runners that they have. But there's another one. They're giving it right back to UNC. And this UNC squad, they need that type of confidence. I mentioned coming into the match that this team is looking for goals and quality of chances. Not a bad way for them to start just 10 minutes in. Instead of having to track 70 yards, they're only having to go 30 or 40, close the space down, better creation.
UVA, despite the sloppy play at the back, has been excellent so far in the last 7 games. 5-0-2 in that run, and have put themselves in this position where they control their playoff opportunity by winning 10 of 12 points in ACC play over that run. Conversely, North Carolina, coming off a good win against Louisville, 2-0 at home. They are an elite defensive team, 4th in the nation in goals against average. Their keeper, Andrew Cordes, who's been dealing with injuries throughout the year, back fully healthy. He's 2nd in the nation in that same stat. 1st in save percentage. They are a stalwart at the back, but as Devin said, looking for goals. And their talisman, Quincy Herman, is out injured. Picked up an injury late in the Louisville game. Should be back for the tournament, but not playing today, as Ernest Bawa getting a rare start for him. Only his 4th of the campaign on that right wing. Devin, what's been different about UVA with this run, 7-game unbeaten stretch they've been on?
How much time you got?
I'll give you 45 seconds to explain what George Kelvin has done.
Not 65 minutes, right?
No, we don't. And if there's another turnover in the back like this, I'm going to cut you off. But
it's a variety, to be honest. It's It's quality on the back line, right? It's commanding not just presence, but more importantly, patience in the midfield with Albangashi and Umberto Pela. As quickly as they want to play, these guys are defiant in their ways. They'll slow it down and take what the games give it to them, but then create on their own as well. And positionally, they challenge you in so many different ways. So it's Daniel Mangrove in the 10. He pops out onto the right-hand flank. It's Albangashi who steps up a little bit. It's the wingers who try and push the tempo down in, but then invert themselves as well. And then the 2 9s that are almost impossible to track. So as a defender, very difficult to find out where the threats are coming from.
And they have showed that. Back-to-back games, 3+ goals. If they do it again, it'll be the first time since 2013 a UVA team has done that. 3 goals in 3 straight games as Bawa's cross is wayward.
Virginia.
North Carolina head coach Carlos Simwana in his 13th season has changed up that front grouping as we just talked about. Had an amazing rookie campaign, a historic one back in 2011. He won the treble, he won the regular season division. They won the ACC tournament, and they won the NCAA tournament in his first year. They've been in a College Cup. They've been in the 2020 College Cup, looking to get back there again. With a similar makeup, that team was a very defensive-minded team as well, but they remember that was the COVID year where you had fall and spring, and they really grew through that spring part of the year. Don't have that luxury anymore in college soccer right now. 1 year, maybe we'll get there with 21st century model, maybe.
Well, he doesn't shy away from the fact that that was one of his better coaching seasons, if you will, because he had the ability to do so. He had time, right? And that's one of the biggest things that these college coaches are trying to fight is how often are they actually going to get a chance to train these guys. Had a real good opportunity this morning to witness that firsthand with the Cavaliers going through their walkthrough and the tactical ideas that were going to be the matchup tonight against the UNC Tar Heels. It's refreshing to be able to see a manager convey his ideas to these young student athletes and then to watch them take that, bring it onto the field to play and try and go execute. So much of their time is spent in recovery. These guys are basically averaging a game every 4.5 days for 2.5 months straight.
On top of that, they get like 10 days, quote-unquote, preseason.
Yeah.
So there's just not enough time, and hopefully that'll get him on the docket and maybe get a change. But here could be an opportunity. Shot deflects. Be out for second corner of the match for North Carolina. Ahmed Al-Kwak shot went out, the senior from Oak Ridge, North Carolina. Will Citron, the captain in the middle there. One of the seniors being honored before the game. Cornell transfer after 1 year, now become a mainstay in the back line for George Kelnevach. Play it to Sam Williams, top of the box. He clips it in, looking for Riley Thomas, but
that's some kind of ball, man.
Virginia.
And this is the vision that Sam Williams from University of North Carolina can bring to a game. Just so crafty. Needs to take a little bit more off of this, but the idea that from 22 yards out, he's going to pick a back post run out from his captain, Riley Thomas, to square this thing back across. He's a visionary for sure in that midfield.
Sam Williams, all-freshman team last year in the ACC, New York Red Bulls product. One of the best midfielders in the league and in the country. Albangashi connecting with Motion. This goes back out to Reese Miller. Early ball. And Cortez off his line to claim. Let's get you some other scores around the conference here as Matt Edwards looks long. Syracuse, they started early, 1-0 up on BC, but BC is equalized, so that game's tied up at 1 in Chestnut Hill. We know how hard it is to win there. They need to win and then have some other results go their way, one being the UVA loses or Clemson loses to get them into that top 4 coveted bye spot. Duke is up 1-0 and pressure on Cortez.
Oh, watch out.
And Lucas Feathers is going to stop this now and issue the first yellow card of the match. And Gashi goes in the book.
It's extremely aggressive from Albangashi, and the press is not that surprising. I'm just surprised that he leaves his feet right here, because even if he wins the ball, that touch is most likely going out of bounds. Most likely. You're going to be very lucky if you're able to get a touch here and retain possession. You don't have any players in the area. That's one where you stand it up, just maintain the pressure, make the goalkeeper make a mistake, because you've got the support behind you to help out the space argument, retain possession, and then come back the other way.
Burcedo goes down in a heap, but the foul's going to be called on him. The grad student from Madrid, Spain, transferred from Quinnipiac last year, had a really good year, third in the nation with 14 goals. Trying to get off the mark here better, only 1 goal in the season. But he gets that start in the center where he's more comfortable today. Tiam. He's fouled. It's getting chippy out there.
Foul, North Carolina.
Let's keep you updated again. Some of these scores are critical to what's happening here. Duke up 1-0 on Virginia Tech. That is another one of those teams chasing the top 4. They need a result, and they need UVA or Clemson to lose. Wake Forest and Louisville got an opportunity long. Come back to that in a second. Louisville up on Wake Forest is huge as Tiam now kicks it up in the pocket. We'll get to Louisville in a second, but they're on the outside looking in the tournament, it seems, and that would be a massive win over a Wake Forest team that's 3rd in the RPI. Nice job getting it up to Bawa. And Notre Dame's gone up 2-0 on Pitt. They already know they have a top 4 seed. They won the Coastal, so they're going to be 1 or 2. And they are riding high right now. 9 games unbeaten for the Fighting Irish. Had a late equalizer last week against Wake Forest in a game that Devin and I were at. Top 2 teams in the conference per the standings.
It fit the billing, didn't it?
It really did. Felt like a tournament game.
Yeah.
Austin Rome and puts it out to touch.
And we got to see Notre Dame and all the exploitation that is their back line that really makes you feel bad about yourself if you're an attacker. And limiting your chances and just so difficult to break through, as dense as they can be. Individual standouts as well. Brian Dowd in goal, and Ferguson on the back line. Patty Burns.
Edwards drives it in off the head of Andrew Check. Gashi flicks it out. Parker O'Farrell back to Williams. Edwards and Bawa connecting again. Check gonna make that back post run. Kwok was there, and did you believe it was touched there?
Yeah, he touched his head. Absolutely, it did.
Kwok can't believe it. He keeps arguing Lucas Feathers, but the call was made.
Interesting, the little change up top tonight, and for me, it's not necessarily the fact of the personnel, it's the manner in which you're trying to attack. You know, the idea coming in is that they wanted more speed on the outside to be able to get in and serve these balls in. There's a touch. There's a touch. Hair counts.
Hair counts, well, there you go.
But all season long, you know, Quincy Armand, who's unavailable, leading goals and points for University of North Carolina, great left foot. Well, they operate him out on the right-hand wing. They drive him to the inside to attack the space and occupy the center backs. That allows the outside backs to get high. Well, tonight, Ernest Bawa, more linear player. So he's going to be one-on-one to try and challenge over here on the left side. Same argument with Al Kwok on the left flank for UNC against the right side. That is going to be Will Citron. So the idea all season long, even though they've had some success, again, recently, only 2 goals in their last 3, they're switching it up. They got to get hold-up play, though, from David Burcedo, excuse me, in the number 9 spot. That man right there. If they can't get all 3 of them together, it's just the 2 on the outside, they're going to have a problem.
Honora goes in and clips Check, and 4th foul of the game for on the Who's. Honora, the freshman from Accra, Ghana, having an outstanding season, 10 goals, but the 7 goals he scored in ACC play is first. And as we know, it is something to score goals. I'm not poo-pooing that at all, but to score them in league games.
So eloquent.
That's one with words over here.
Yes.
A little poetry coming out of my mouth. That's what makes strikers different at the highest level.
It's the level of competition, right? I mean, you know, I had this conversation the other day that it's consistency and quality that really come into play when you're talking about how good guys are going to be.
Bawa. Edwards on the overlap. Gets off a good ball, an opportunity. But Burcedo just couldn't get good purchase on it, and Petruni covers. Wow.
I'm not sure David Burcedo thought this ball was going to get back across, but this is what we were just talking about, how the Tar Heels start to drive to the inside. Watch Bawa and his hesitation. He knows that he's going to have the support coming. You'd like that a bit sooner. If that run comes earlier, you can hit Edwards in stride, and you don't have as many UVA players inside the box. Still a good one back across, and he's already leaning. He loses the shape of his body. If he's more upright, he can hit this thing square and redirect it in a natural movement down into the bottom corner. That early lean causes him to come across it.
Herman actually scored a similar goal last week against Louisville to open it in the 3rd minute out of a low cross. It somehow went through like 8 Cards players and ended up on Herman's foot. He buried that, though, and put them up 1-0.
That's the quality of chance that the head coach of North Carolina, Carlos Zamorano, is looking for, though. Again, if you can get guys 8 yards and in, common sense says that's a little bit easier to score than 20 yards and out, right?
Mm-hmm. Citron lets it roll to Petruni. Transferred from Coastal Carolina, took over the #1 gloves when Holden Brown went down with an injury. Rome to Miller. O'Connor. Absolutely beautiful day here at Klockner Stadium. It's still in the low 70s. It was 80 plus today. Felt like it was August, not October. Good crowd on hand despite the Luke Bryan concert going on at JPJ across the way. Edwards battling with Miller. Bersato battling with Aiden O'Connor. Not many guys are going to win that forwards. And O'Connor eventually dragged down. Just a big body, physical. The junior, the transfer from Western Michigan. Physical 6'3" presence. He's been an anchor in that back line since he came over.
We were discussing earlier how the tactical change that was last year is now funneled into 2023, and he's a big part of that. They've gone to a 4-back system, found a little bit of success in the spring. Same conversation preseason earlier this year, but it didn't exactly matriculate into the results come regular season time. And George Galnavach said that the quality of Aiden O'Connor, yes, he's got that physical size, he commands that back line, but his distribution and organization, if they didn't have him, they wouldn't have been able to make the tactical change, which has seen so much success in 7 games unbeaten.
Reese Miller trying to make an overlap, and he maintains possession. Knocked out by Edwards to the foot of Tiam. Vela. Rome on it. Turnover in their own half, and Bersato's got Edwards in space. Not sure if that was a cross or a shot, but it'll go off for a throw. So we'll call it a cross, so he'll feel better about it. Edwards, the junior, injury issues this year, back to full health, makes this team different when he's there at that right back spot. Started every game last year for the Heels. And he said have stopped his run.
It just seemed out of sync tonight, UVA. It feels off, everything.
This feels like a very different game. Is it anything North Carolina's doing, or is it just a lack of sharpness from the Cavs?
2 things. Number 1 is they started the game very direct, the Cavaliers, and a lot of balls up over the top. Frustration on the sideline by their head coach, George Galnavach, telling them to step on it. But as they've sort of slowed the game down, the front 3 for UNC are doing an incredible job. If you watch the weak side striker, that means the guy furthest away from the ball. He's kind of tucking underneath to eliminate one of the midfielders coming out to try and get on it. And then the other 2 are just pushing everybody to the sideline. So they're using the sideline as your friend, almost another defender. You're forcing the direction of play to only go one way and you're the one who's doing that, which is the best thing. So it allows everybody behind you to know systematically where you're supposed to be set up so that the ball does go that way is exactly where you need to shift.
Tiam gets it to a Noor. Back to Mangarov. Tiam. Rome on it. Bisa leads the team in assists with 7 and doesn't look like it there. They maintain possession though. Pela says it's his ball and they do keep it. Reese Miller back to O'Connor. Did somebody just walk up with a batch of chocolate chip cookies?
I'm smelling something.
Holy moly.
It's heavenly.
Anor off the line. I mean, yeah, he's offside, excuse me, as Cordes was off his line. The smells are getting in my head right now. We've talked about how good Anor has been, 10 goals on the season, and how this UVA team has gotten a 7-game unbeaten streak. They've done it without their leading scorer, first-team All-ACC, the guy that they thought their offense would be built around, Leo Afonso, dealing with injury. Hopefully he'll be back for the ACC tournament. But how much more can he offer this group?
It's funny when you look at it because the first side would be, well, you wanted the compliment for him coming into the year. And not only, now that we know, did you get that from Stephen Anor, but Mo Tiam, the transfer from Oregon State. But maybe a blessing in disguise that helped you get into this system. Now trying to figure out how to work all of them together. To me, it's probably more so about Daniel Mangarov underneath and what would end up for him positionally, because you can't leave Leo Afonso off the field. If you get all those three, it's going to be more of a three-headed monster up top. You're not going to see as much dimensionally underneath that creates a 5-man midfield. Even if you watch now, as they're in possession, Mangarov on the far right side. That's a move where if you got Mo Tiam over there, if you got Stephen Anor over there, you could run them in the flank because they have so much speed. You can catch them on the diagonal, but they're still comfortable in possession.
Anor on this. Cuts it back. And good recovery there by Riley Thomas. And Anor can't believe he didn't get a better look off there.
Also moments like that too, where if that ball's coming through and you have all three on the front that I was talking about, the right winger coming on a diagonal, he's picking up that passage there. Now you've got two options on the inside instead of your most dangerous attacker in Stephen Anor. Although he gets onto it, he's moving away from goal. Again, quality of opportunity over quantity.
Bisa looking for Anor, pass intercepted. Quick outlet to Brisedo. Held up nicely. Edwards skips past Miller. He's got a Kwok on that far wing. Couldn't see him. Rooney had to come off and touch it. Off his line there. Falls the check. He dinks it in. Not the best punch from the keeper. Good control by Mangarov. Bisa, German-born. Right wing back now in this formation. Plays it long. Anor battling. Back to Till Zinhart, grad student, also a German. Came to the Darmstadt Academy. Number of guys slipping out here today. Great pitch normally.
Just nerves in front of the legends on the sidelines.
mean you?
Obviously.
Clearly. Yeah, definitely. It's like you, Aikman, Collinsworth.
That's exactly what it's
Pretty much
like.
all in the same class.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Welcome to the game.
And then Bawa cleared out, and Lucas Feather says play on. Sam Williams is on it. Check. the senior from Ghana.
The tricks may be for kids, but they're also very fun. And Reese Miller, not many that get the best of the wingback for the Cavaliers.
His first team, all-freshman team last year, Miller was. Sophomore from Houston. On the ball there, back to Rome.
As much as Mo Tiam is coming to the inside for UVA, which is, it's very normal for them. Matt Edwards is starting to take advantage of some of that space, but the other midfielders for UNC got to recognize that. He comes in to help Sam Williams. That's more space for Andrew Check and Parker O'Farrell to help the front line and push that aggression going forward. That's some of the communication where when guys in different rotations and the squad has started to revolve, that not everybody's on the same page. Those are the things that if you're a coach, if you have a longer time during the season, you can pick it up 5-6 days and tactically help them grow a bit further.
Bawa again. And try to dink that past Connor. Catch on the other side. He's doing what Carlos Zamwana wanted, though, Bawa. Yeah. He said he gives us more as a one-on-one threat at the wing. And on cue, I say that, he's going to come in. Yeah, Bawa's going to make way, so he walks to the sideline. Bersado's going to move to the right, and number 9, Martin Vician, checks in, the grad student, Harvard transfer, 2-time second-team All-Ivy League player. Comes in 5 goals on the campaign. And he'd pretty much locked down that number 9 spot. Started every game but one this year, but Carlos Zamwana making a change today. And we'll see if Vician is any different coming off the bench. How hard is that to get used to? If you're used to starting all year and then you come off the pine, what's that like?
Especially for a 9. You know, the guys that you really don't want to rattle when it comes to confidence are your goalkeeper. Well, you're not normally bringing them off the bench in the middle of a game.
No. Except for Mikel Arteta, he's posited that thought. Exactly. Subbing keepers in the 82nd minute.
And then the striker. You know, soccer players, I know this is hard to believe, we have egos. And
really? I never noticed that from you, at least.
And, you know, you got to feed that. And so a guy who has been the constant, maybe even if you haven't seen the goals, try and find a way to just feed him early. Get him involved in the run of play so that he's not chasing like this all the time. Get some passes into him. He's really good with his feet. Play in. You can play up in the air. It's a good vertical threat. But just finding a way to overall keep him involved in the game, not just the defensive pressing that position overall so far has seen so much of.
Taken out, and we may see our second card of the match as Lucas Feathers stops the game, and Mangarov is down in a heap. And yes, the card is brandished. And that'll go to Riley Thomas.
They've isolated some area over there. This is what we talked about with Daniel Mangrove coming out of the central locations, and he's just finding a little bit of passage to play with over there. But as they move through, there's still a lot of space to work into. So the idea would be to get Paul Visa higher to help some of the distribution coming in. The problem is he's deep in possession. When they find Mangarov, he's slow to get the run out. So they've got all this space to work into, but they're not able to find him. That's just about quality of play being quicker, decisions coming faster. Take 1 touch instead of 2. Take 2 instead of 3. To be fair, that's plagued both of these teams in the first half.
Brought down nicely by Miller, and Tiam is clipped by Williams. Long ball, looking for Visa, first time cross, and Nor just ridden off the opportunity nicely by Zinhard. Well, we have a minute to tell you about Sunday. The ACC Women's Soccer Championship gets underway with first-round matches at 6 and 8 Eastern, once again from Salem Stadium at Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. Tuesday, the field hockey quarterfinals begin with the semifinals Wednesday. Coverage starts at 1 Eastern both days. ACCN, the home of the ACC Championships. Of course, the men's tournament starts on Wednesday. That's what's at stake right now. Slaloming forward, nice ball played to Al Kwok. Excuse me, that's Parker O'Farrell. And did that take a touch off of who? Yes, it did. Go out for a corner. Third of the match for UNC. Alquat goes out to take it. Senior from North Carolina. His 30th appearance in a North Carolina jersey.
Just keep an eye back post, 2v1.
Driven in. Gashi clearance. Miss hit. Issa brings it down.
That was a big missed opportunity at Charlie Harper and Riley Thomas, both sitting on the backside, only one marker on him. Just put the ball up and let him go make a play.
That was Harper winning the ball at the touch line and getting going the other way. Edwards on it. Don't like that decision?
I'm not sure why we're playing look, as a defender moving forward, you get excited. I'll be the first one to tell you that, center back. But you have to be smart with the ball, too, because as quickly as you've acquired it, one false move, you put your team in a bad spot, and now the opposition can come the other way quickly. And so if you're Matt Edwards, you're driving centrally, which we talked about. He's got an option up top in Vician that's 1v4. I'm no math major. That seems like it's off, right? So why not either keep possession here, or if you are going to challenge there, use the option to the best of your advantage. Go up high. He's got the ability, especially if you can get on the back shoulder of the big, tall center back in Aiden O'Connor. If you go up top, Vician standing at just 6'4", he can start to peel off and go and win it up there instead of trying to fight his way through all the players in front of him on the ground.
Thomas hooks it forward to O'Farrell, or Kwok on it. Headed down by Thomas. Check, one of the goal scorers last week, out to Brisedo. Brisedo in a little bit of room. Might fall to Brisedo again. Give it a hit. Takes one extra touch. And Anor now in a foot race, and he might win it. They're asking for a handball, and he will get it. Lucas Feathers makes the call. Carlos Zamorano asking for a card. I ask you, should that be a card?
Is it direct or is it inadvertent? You know, Carlos Zamorano on the sideline, as are most of the players from UNC, are making the argument that he did it on purpose. You know, that angle tells a little bit different of a story. Understand that it's a natural running motion. Your hand's going to come out in front of you, and the arm is up. I'm not so sure that's directly implied.
Yeah, that arm came up. That was a volleyball spike almost. I would have not complained at a yellow, but he gets away scot-free. Reigning Offensive Player of the Week. Not reprimanded. Gashi, who's on a yellow card, maintains possession out to Citron.
Here's the bigger conversation. We're doing quick math. 37 minutes into the match here.
Good job. Well, I'm really impressed by you.
37 minutes in the match. That's really the first time we've seen a one-on-one for Stephen Anor up top. Everything else has been 2v1, him exploding in behind. And while that's a similar conversation here, it's 1v1. If they can find a way to continue to get him isolated, whether you're going direct or finding those balls slipped in on the floor, that's where you're going to start to find more success moving forward for the Cavaliers.
3 changes for the Cavaliers now. Elias Norris, the grad student from GW, the transfer, comes in for Reese Miller, number 19. You see Kome Abogu joins the fray. He's got some game winners in him. Last year we saw one against Virginia Tech in a diving header fashion. He replaces Stephen Anor up top.
For number 16, Daniel Mangarov.
And then Axel Allender comes in. Had a brace midweek in their win against High Point. Mangarov's taken off. As we go under 7 minutes alongside Devin Kerr, I'm Dallin Cuff here from Klockner Stadium. Final night of the ACC men's soccer season. A lot to play for here. Those coveted top 4 spots on the line for UVA in the tournament. You get a bye. Martin Vician just pulled down by Tiam. Not even necessarily going to give away a free kick in a dangerous spot. But UVA needs a result. A win or a draw can cements their top 4 status. They will have a bye in the first round on Wednesday. They will play in the weekend games in the quarterfinals. North Carolina, a win or a draw cements their place hosting a first round game on Wednesday. They cannot get into that top 4. Obviously, all the games going on around the conference, the other 5 impact everything. We'll keep updating you on those. They are all at half, -1 right now. Back to our game here. Sam Williams stands over it. And will harmlessly go to the back of the net.
Virginia.
Charlie Harper, sophomore from Australia, by way of Tokyo, came through the academy system there. Holds 3 citizenships, Australian, Japanese, and English.
No need for babble under the Christmas tree this year.
But ching, well done. Hollander heads it forward. Picked up by Hollander, looking for Tiam. Falls to a Bogu. Tiam on it. Well done by Czech. Ichian tries to get a turn. Visa picks it off. We're under 5 minutes here. UVA has not threatened much in this game. Carlos Zambrano has said, hey, we played a really good 45. We've struggled to get to a good 90. He's going to be pretty pleased with this 45, wouldn't he?
I would be, absolutely. And 0-0 is great. Certainly you would like a goal to put yourself out in front, but it's also just limiting the overall creation from the home squad and the Cavaliers. You've kept one of the best strikers in the country. Stephen Anorquai. Motiam hasn't had a lot of ability down underneath to operate within. Good job by the outside backs of removing those chances. And you know, Daniel Mangarov, these are all the 3 starters on the front line for UVA, has been very quiet as well. And obviously George Gelnevach, the head coach from University of Virginia, feels the same way. He's replaced Mangarov with Hollander. Obogu comes in now, and again, I still go back to the quality that they've had. Some passages that have come through them, just step on it, hit it quicker. Guys seem a little bit too nonchalant, kind of slow going through the motions, and that's allowed UNC to not only eliminate those threats, but they're growing in this game right now. They feel a lot more comfortable than they did opening 10 or 15 minutes.
It's Juan Cafaro on the ball now. Checked in at the last whistle, trying to combine with Brisedo. He does. Cafaro on it again. Pass. Drags Thomas back, though. Brisedo. It's on the right side of Pella. Citron. Just play it out to touch.
Can't get it if you don't have it. That's what I always say.
You could get your own words, too. Old Bill Shakespeare over here.
It's sort of been the night for the back line that is Aiden O'Connor, Austin Roman, Citron.
Thomas making that little inverted run from his left back spot. Falls to Thomas. Petruni is there. I thought there was going to be a foul call there. None. Nothing whistled. Check on the run, gets caught up with Norris, and there will be a foul there.
North Carolina.
Well, breaking the action. We got a great Week 9 ACC Network football lineup we have for you tomorrow. It starts at noon Eastern with Boston College, winners of the last 3, hosting UConn, then Virginia, fresh off their wild upset of North Carolina, just turning this league on its head. They take on Miami, that just beat Clemson in double OT, so both teams coming off big dubs. And we cap the day with Drake May and number 17 North Carolina and Georgia Tech at 8. All 3 games are also available on the ESPN app. so you can watch anywhere. It seemed like North Carolina and Florida State were on a collision course to play in the ACC championship in Charlotte, but the Hoos changed the whole equation here in the conference. Congratulations to Tony Elliott and his crew.
1 minute. 1 minute to play in the half.
Hollander
Virginia.
called for the foul on Vichian. Senior from Norway. He was a JMU transfer. Vichian battling with O'Connor. Sato back to check. Edwards again on the overlap. Williams will hook it in. Truney kind of flopping at it.
He's had a couple like that tonight.
Yeah.
Just a bit questionable coming off his line.
20 seconds to go. Thomas. For Sato. And it'll go out to a goal kick, and I believe UVA will just take it to the break. For a team that's won 7 straight, a little surprised by Virginia's performance in the first 45?
Very surprised. You know, a bit more emotion, I would imagine, is going to be some of the conversation that's going to be had with UVA Cavaliers and George Galnavach, their manager. I would say, though, that, you know, tip of the cap to North Carolina, they've worked themselves back into this game. They were on their heels a little bit to start, but for me, it all comes out of the runs, coming out of the midfield, adding more layers to the attack.
Official. Crowd here at Clocker coming to life. And interesting to note, George Galnavach will leave some of the subs that he had late in that half in the game. Kome Abogu, number 18, and running it down right now. He stays in the game. Axel Allender, 10, underneath, bottom left of your screen there. He remains in the fray as well, coming off a brace midweek against in a 3-1 win against High Point. So, Devin, you heard both coaches had to say to us around halftime. What's your assessment for both teams? Do you agree with what the coaches are saying, and that's what you want to see them input into the second half?
Spot on. And we talked about that in the first half, how even when they had the ball, just the quality of decision. Sometimes the rate of play was slowed down, and guys weren't making the best of decisions. Why hit it far post when you've got a 5-yard ball right in front of you? And that's what Carlos Samuano was talking about. George Galnavach, he said that, you know, he needs to free up some spaces. They need to get higher up in the pitch. I can promise you this, his voice tone, he was not happy with the overall quality of play in that opening 45 minutes. And it tells a story, pretty interestingly, that he's left his star striker off as well as his number 10 in Daniel Mangarov.
Juan Cafaro stays in the game as well, on the ball now for UNC. Creative little player. Will Citron wins that battle. Motiam on it.
I mentioned to you at halftime when we were talking about teams that could go win the ACC title. University of Virginia was one of them, and the reason I said that was because of how they diversify and the way that they're trying to attack you and, you know, making you feel uncomfortable, whether they're deep and they're playing long, or if you defensively have sat back and you want them to come at you and you really eliminate some of those channels and take away their speed. That's one of the other things here is they've been very one-dimensional. So if you remove the decision-making and you remove the options, all of a sudden it's A to B, B to C, and it's very easy to track as a defensive player.
How hard is it to break that funk when you're in it as a player and as a team when it's kind of all out of rhythm?
To me, this is always when kind of your highlight guys go and change the game. And it doesn't mean that they're going to go and get a goal, but it's that one play, that belief that, hey, if he can do it, imagine what I can do. So that could start with your goalkeeper making a great save, starting to lift your spirits up a little bit. It's a good ball by Aiden O'Connor off the back line, but I still look forward, whether it's Motiam or an Axel Allender, one of those guys that's a little bit flashier that gets to have more fun, if you will, in the final third. They can get away with making a mistake down there, right? But the level of play will continue to follow if one of them is just willing to get out of their comfort zone.
Riley Thomas didn't really play it out, so it's still in play for the Hoos. Tiam on it. Pela drives it out to Norris. Hooked in, headed out. And Visa wins the ball. Falls to Pela. Back-to-back blocks. Out to Norris. Floated into Bogu's there, but so is Cordes, one of the best keepers in the country. Oh, Aiden O'Connor goes down in a heap, holding his head. I don't know if Lucas Feathers has seen that. And O'Connor's complaining to Feathers and still hasn't kind of got back to his center back spot. Brennan Lamb, the freshman, is on it. Came in for Gashi. Atlanta United Academy product, Lamb. Making his 15th appearance on the season. Hollander shielding it from Williams.
Foul, North Carolina.
And foul call. Hollander goes in hard. Play on. Beachian trying to run it down. O'Connor's there, though.
You know we haven't talked about this evening, by the way? Who did you bribe to get this magical weather at this time of year in this beautiful venue?
Beachian on it. Finds Bercedo. 85 degrees this afternoon. Whew. I don't even have shorts. I was just out there sweating.
It's warmer here than it was in my hometown in Florida. Go figure.
Good for now. I don't know about in 20 years.
Yeah.
Apparently it was stink bugs were out. I don't even know what that means.
You know, I've been called a lot of things, but that's really a low blow to me. Thomas making his 62nd appearance in a North Carolina uniform, 61st start. And eventually won't go out. Austin Robe keeps it in. Lamb hoofs it forward to Hollander, who finds Pele. He's not aware that there. Yeah, there's O'Farrell right behind him. So they play it back. A quick note handed me by great stat man Richard Simmons here. Eno Ento for Notre Dame has 4 of their now 5 goals. Come back to that in a second as Caffaro's on it. Check. Lays it out to Edwards. Cut back, Caffaro. Deflects through and Truni makes the save. But 5 goals for Notre Dame against a Pitt team that's could find themselves playing on the road in the opener. They have a variance from could have been 10th all the way to 5th in the seedings. What does that do for a team to get blown out like that? And how about Ento's day to get 4 goals in a game? That's the last thing that you want if you're Jay Vidovich, the head coach of Pitt, and shocking would be the result. But, you know, that team, by the way, we mentioned that coming into the season, or coming into the night, I should say, that 6 wins on the year, 4 losses and 4 draws. You kind of look at that. How are they a top 20 team in the country? Because every single team that they play is in the top 25.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult schedule, so that enables them to, even when they lose or draw a match, to still stay within the conversation of one of the best in the land. But to get smacked around that much by a team that, respectfully, is more so known for their defensive escapades as opposed to what they do on the attacking side, that's going to be a head dropper for a lot of the guys wearing a Pitt jersey this evening. Not easy to recover, and on short notice too. Remember, you got to turn around, and you're going to have to play a game immediately on the 1st.
Yep, you're playing on Wednesday. They're in that mix. The question is, are they going to be in Pittsburgh? Are they going on the road somewhere? We'll find it out. We'll sort through everything as the games go final around the conference. We'll keep you updated and tell you how that affects what we're watching right now. Driven out to O'Farrell. Sophomore from Raleigh. Charlie Harper on it. Nice touch by Brisedo. Thomas's pass not going to have enough. Bogu. I mean, Visa and Miller, they're wing backs. Miller's not on right now. Norris is in for him. When they're in form, and those guys are bombing up and down the flanks. They're putting, Visa's got 7 assists on the season, putting balls in, being dangerous. I don't know if Visa's found himself up around the attacking third maybe 6 times.
Right. We talked about that in the first half, how he was also responsible for the one time that you got Steven Enorin in a one-on-one situation isolated against the center back. And, you know, there's 2 schools of thought. The first part would be is defensively, he's being locked down as you get one of these runners on the front line. Right now, it's David Brisedo who's coming over here and really occupying him. The other side is you got to be willing to pass that off. So that's a conversation with the defender behind you and Will Citron that, hey, I'm going to go and step. I'm going to try and chase this a little bit. Watch my back. Paul Visa's not really doing that. He's just kind of standing here letting the game stay in front of him, and he feels comfortable. I mentioned that, you know, 5 minutes into the second half, you want a game changer. That's how, you know, the play starts to get better. Guys start to take chances. If your front line's not doing it, and I'm looking to somebody else on this field right now to get involved for the Cavaliers, Paul Visa exactly is where my head is going to turn to.
Bogu was fouled in the middle. They played it short back to Citron. He's just looking for options, and nobody presented themselves to help him solve that. Now Citron and Visa going back and forth at each other. Pela dispossessed. Citron run down by Vician. No call, and now there is a call.
Foul, North Carolina.
Well, there were chocolate chip cookies in the first half. There's just buttery popcorn now in the second half, just being wafted around Klockner Stadium.
The Cavaliers, the Tar Heels, Mrs. Fields,
Orville.
Orville. They're just wandering around. Stings the nostrils.
Now I'm starving all of a sudden.
I know, I'm very hungry. Appreciate the tease, culinary department.
Tiam taken out.
Goal kick, North Carolina.
Couple subs coming in. Bawa and Alquak will check back in. And as we have a minute here, let's look at a game. We talk about the difficulty of Pitt's schedule. It's loaded, and that's because they're playing in this conference where 8 of the top 21 teams in the RPI reside. All 8 of those teams are locks. Louisville at one point was a top 5 team in the nation, top 10 in the RPI when it came out. Like, they were in a position of power. They have really struggled recently. They're down number 50 in the RPI, but they are up 2-1 against Wake Forest. Is it as simple as a win against Wake that gets them into that threshold? Because you got to be around the low 40s to even be on the bubble, as we saw in North Carolina last year, getting in the low 40s RPI. Is it just a win against Wake, or they have to do more work in the tourney?
Win versus Wake and the resume is complete. That will be enough to get you into the NCAA tournament, absolutely. Against a top 5 team that was just a part of the committee's top 16 rankings, 100%. You're talking about one of the best in the ACC and one of the best in the country. You beat them, and they're not going to have any reservations whatsoever. The issue that they're going to run into is if they lose, because Louisville's currently sitting on 9 wins. That would get them to double-digit wins. To get into double-digit wins, 10 overall, you have to move your way into the top 20 in the country. That's why I say they get in. If they don't win, now you're talking about 2 victories in the ACC tournament, because your first one, I understand seeding is going to come into play, but your first one isn't really going to be that impressive, and your second one is going to be matched up against a team that's probably pretty good. So you almost have to win one. It's a foregone conclusion that has to happen, and then you got to get to 2.
You would almost, I don't know if you want the 8 seed, as Vician is on the ball. Whipped in by Alquak, headed out by O'Connor. Back to O'Farrell. Because that's the challenge to your point, Devin, in that first round game. BC is not going to be a tournament team. NC State is not. Those could be huge banana peels. You don't even get anything from beating them. Virginia Tech is a team that's, has some decent wins, but again, their RPI is not really helping you. So you got to survive and win that first game, and then you have an opportunity on the road, but that opportunity comes with beating one of the 4 best teams in the country.
You get to the 8th seed, and you're at home, at least.
That's huge.
That's the most important thing for them, right? Again, only 26% of games played by ACT teams this season have been able to find a winning result away from home, which is quite staggering.
We always talk about how difficult the league is. Winning on the road is even harder. So these games are huge. And for UVA, they're playing for, again, a bye in that first round. A win or a draw puts them in that spot. North Carolina, a win or a draw puts them in hosting a first round game. They came into this matchup as the 8 seed, against the 9 seed Virginia Tech. And remember, goal difference is your first tiebreaker is head-to-head in a one-on-one tie. If there's another team, a third or fourth team added, goal difference comes into effect. Think about Pitt. You just taken a huge drubbing, 5-0. Your goal difference is plummeting right now. Looking for Allender in the channel. Rides the challenge. Scott Elias making the run. Good ball. Numbers in the box. Allender wants it back. Elias cut into the right foot. Leaves it for Pela. Finds Visa. Dinked back. He's got a Bogu in the back post, and the ball was not up to snuff. But they maintain possession. Visa can't find it. Pela wants it, doesn't play him. Back to Rome and back to O'Connor.
Well, if they can recycle to the near portion of the field right now, they've got loads of space to work through, and that's much of the same that we saw in the first half, just the inability to execute. A lot of conversation, direction from the coaches, yelling from the players, but just the link up not there for UVA.
Just to follow up on that Louisville conversation, I'm being told Wake Forest is equalized now. 2-2. Jose Kajima back in the lineup, getting a massive goal for the Demon Deacons as they want the 2 seed, and theoretically Clemson or Virginia can catch them. If Wake would have faltered and one or both of these teams won, UVA and Clemson. Sam Williams headed out by Citron. Clemson still tied up. NC State up 1-0 over Clemson in the 81st minute.
Now we're talking. Look at the Wolfpack go.
How about that, George Kiefer's crew?
That's the result of the year if that can hold.
And if that holds, that keeps them on 13 points, which means that UVA's draw puts them ahead of them. And also opens the door for teams like Duke and Syracuse to equal them on 13 points. And again, we come into goal difference. Bawa, been a handful all day, draws another foul.
Foul, Virginia.
Well, by the way, that NC State team, you get a result against Clemson. I mean, you're 80 in the RPI right now, so that doesn't help. But you get a result against Clemson. You make it to the final?
But again, you could, like any, great through ball to Edwards. And his cross a little overcooked. Comes out to O'Farrell. He'll play it back in. And Citron wins the race. But just like most sports, minus football, you can play your way in.
Yep, go win your way in. Win your tournament. It's an automatic bid.
Win your tournament, get that automatic bid. So hope springs eternal when you get to Wednesday. Coming off a win like that, that can really buoy you. Stephen Anor now checking in for Kome Bogu. So the reigning offensive player of the week in the conference, freshman, from Ghana checks back in. Scored in 5 of 7 ACC games. They need him to stand up right now. It's been quieted, you know, throughout this match.
And the midfield relationship for the Cavaliers has been very interesting to watch here in the second half with the addition of Brendan Lamb. They're allowing him to kind of operate by himself and putting more responsibility on Humberto Pela to just jump forward and kind of create an inverted triangle with Axel Hollander. More numbers going forward, more avenues to play through.
Reese Miller checks back in, replacing Norris, transfer from GW.
That also puts a lot more pressure on Sam Williams in the midfield for North Carolina, who, if Carlos Zamorano has his way, they're going to get him on the ball. He's kind of the general for the entirety of this attack moving forward. You bump 2 guys in the midfield high for Virginia. Even if they're not on the ball, they're occupying space around the central midfielder for the visitors.
And Brendan Lamb coming in really late. So we pass through the top of the hour here. Welcome into Klockner Stadium, home of the Virginia Cavaliers, number 14 team in the nation, taking on North Carolina. 0-0. 25 minutes to play alongside Devin Kerr. I'm Dallin Cuff. And with the ACC tournament on the horizon Wednesday, the final day of the regular season, both these teams playing for ACC tournament positioning and for NCAA tournament resume. Again, that tournament, the top 16 get a bye in home games. Great ball played in. Edwards just inches from hitting the head of Al Kwok.
Goal kick, Virginia.
I was with the UNC players in this one. It looked like there was a touch on the back line from the Cavaliers. Check the weight of the ball from Matt Edwards. I mean, this is so difficult to get through. There is a touch by Aiden O'Connor. Just a tiny redirect to the backside.
Wow. If he doesn't make that touch, that's getting to Al Kwok's head. I don't know if he can finish that, but he's going to have the opportunity. So O'Connor makes a heck of a play, and then Lucas Feathers, the official, misses it. So now you don't have a corner. It's perfect for them if you're a Hoos fan. What has to change in this game, man? This is the malaise. It kind of continues for UVA.
Intent. Just step on it, hit it, step on it, hit it. Let the ball do the work right now, regardless of what team that you're on. There are so many different chances for either one of these squads to really take control of this game. But to your point, right, even right now, you're going to be bailed out by Stephen Honor on the foul by Al Kwok. But there's 5 touches there when 2 would have sufficed. You know, your head has to be up, surveying the field before that ball ever gets to you. The second that it's played, you take one more peek. Can you hit it first time? If not, set yourself up, then make your decision. If you can, make the decision before the ball even arrives.
Deflected cross by Al Kwok. Nor can't get out from under his feet. Sam Williams steps, shoots, deflects, and kept in. Corner save for a throw. Clips it right to Petruni, who got his 100th save of his career just a few minutes ago. Transfer from Coastal Carolina, making his 9th start in the campaign. Austin FC Academy product, 3-time, there it is. All-state in Texas.
Must have been a finance guy. Providing some highlights to the evening, you know. We don't have it in front of us right now, so we have to supplement. We're good.
And you're doing an amazing job. Those and the popcorn makers.
5, go.
Visa. It's hit forward. Tiamat a foot race, and Cortez wins that. You like that, Dev?
Yeah, great job coming off his line here. Andrew Cortez, who's had a very quiet night, but especially with Mo Tiam and Stephen Honor bearing down on you. Well done by the goalkeeper. This is that commanding presence that we talked about and why he's the reigning defensive player of the week in the ACC. Not afraid. He's got a big physical frame, but to venture that far out, 8-10 yards out, referee's not going to protect you. Good goalkeeping.
Another ball over the top. This one's going to get to Anor. He takes a tough angle. Falls again, and a first-time shot from Pela goes wide. And the crowd showing signs of life.
Yeah, it keeps you guessing here if you're Andrew Cortez. And we talked about his body positioning, the ability to get to these lateral movements and spring himself into action. 9 times out of 10, a striker's cutting this ball back across, but Steven Anor recognizes that Andrew Cortez is trying to cheat a little bit to the backside. The goalkeeper immediately retreats to the near post. Excellent save, and you would like to cough this up back to where it came from. It comes down the middle. It's a very threatening position. Half chances after that, but a much better move from the Cavaliers.
So twice they've kind of played direct over the top, and once threatened and actually once had a chance. Al-Kwak trying to cut back on that right eventually. It's knocked off his foot by Pela. Almost fell for Bawa. Got to his feet, but not too much for that. Tomorrow morning, the ACC Huddle crew will kick off the day in Atlanta at 11 a.m. Eastern with a 60-minute pregame show leading into BC hosted UConn at noon. They'll also have halftime shows and pre- and post-game shows throughout the day. Then they're back at 6:30 to wrap up the afternoon with highlights and analysis and to get you set for North Carolina, Georgia Tech at 8. After the game, stay right here on ACCN for a complete wrap-up with interviews with players and coaches. North Carolina, Miami and Virginia, that middle game of the day on ACC Network. Be sure to see if UVA can make it 2 in a row after knocking off North Carolina in dramatic and shocking fashion last week. 3 in a row. Let's say back-to-back ACC wins, but William and Mary felt the wrath of the Cavs a couple weeks back. Kwak can't control. All right, so just to get you some out-of-town scores as things are starting to go final. Notre Dame, final score. Would you like to guess what the final was against Pitt?
We were at 4. Let's add on 2 just for good measure. 6?
Look at you. They hung a touchdown on them. Hung a tutty. 6-0. Notre Dame goes into the ACC tournament as the #1 seed, flying high with that win. Al-Kwak now tried to ping it out wide. It's going to roll out harmlessly.
6 goals is insane, yet alone against a Pitt coach team by Jay Vidovich.
Not the way. Now there's Riley Thomas is down. He went to the deck and he's asking the training crew, come out here, please. So he will get some attention, the senior from Atlanta. Atlanta United product, and again, as we mentioned earlier in the game, 61st appearance for North Carolina in his career, 60 starts. He's been a stalwart. Usually he's a center back pairing, but because of injuries, he's moved out to left back in recent games and has deputized there quite well. Not sure. He wants something, but he does want to come back in the match. Is that the little goo you guys take sometimes?
Okay, first of all,
power goo.
I appreciate you saying you guys, because the brethren that is the back line runs thick.
There you go, yeah. Part of the goalkeeper union. What are you guys, like the Teamsters? When I call you like the union?
We've got a little bit more force behind us, we'll say.
Okay.
Strength in numbers.
Clearly, and in weaponry. Parker O'Farrell. And there's Thomas back in. Kwak's first touch leaves something to be desired, but it might actually work out for him. He's dying to get back on that right foot. Visa eventually scoops it up. Petruni's clearance finds Thomas. Williams cleared out by Hollander. And that is not going to go unpunished. Second UVA player to go in the book. Williams writhing in pain, and a key part of this North Carolina team, all-ACC freshman team last year. He was one of 2 college players called up by the U.S. men's national under-19 team this past summer. He's a difference maker. He's upset with Hollander, too.
Hollander feels like he didn't get him, but he had a nice little peek over the shoulder just prior to try and go the other direction. Unfortunately, he couldn't get there quick enough, and it's smart to release it, Sam Williams, but certainly contact acquired by the midfielder from Virginia.
Contact acquired.
Yeah.
He lit him up.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
What? Lit him up? He just ran right through him.
Yeah, these kids these days, you think that's lighting someone up. We need to have a real conversation off air. I'm apparently training my son wrong.
Well, that I knew you were doing. I don't think I need to go off air to hear that. All right, as final scores went on around the conference. Syracuse and Wake Forest and Louisville. That's a big one, 2-2. And Louisville, they get a point. That still helps their resume, but a win at home when they were up 2-1, that's going to hurt John Michael Hayden's heart and his crew. Syracuse now, that draw is critical because they will not be getting a top 4 spot. They had to win and rely on UVA and or Clemson to get a loss. UVA is not complying there in that regard. And Clemson didn't do their part. They got a draw. They found a way to come back and tie it against NC State. So they have locked themselves into a top 4 spot. They're now on 14 points. Virginia currently sits on 13 points. Duke is in the mix as well. They have not gone final, but they are in control of their game, up 4-1, 5-1 now against Virginia Tech. So they will get themselves to 13 points. But the challenge there is they need Virginia now to lose to be in the equation. That would require a North Carolina goal in these next 15 minutes and change.
Pretty incredible, by the way, the Notre Dame season. There are 12 teams between the 2 conferences. They have lapped on points 8 of them.
Wow.
20, 10 and under.
Wow.
That's the kind of season that Chad Riley has put together for the #1 defensive team in the ACC and top 5 overall in the country.
We talked to Chad about this a couple weeks ago and compared him a lot to the 2021 crew that won the ACC tournament, went to the College Cup, and lost in the semifinal to Clemson. Is this team better than that 21 team? Hold on a second. Now, Kwok might be an individual moment of brilliance here. Thomas on it. Oh, Tiam almost had a turnover in an advantageous position. Williams back to Thomas. Is this 21 Notre Dame team, how do they compare to the modern day version?
They're more threatening going forward because it's not just one All-American player at the striker position in Jack Lynn. Now you have Enu Entu, who scored 4 goals tonight in their 6-0 rout of Pitt. You've got Matt Rue, who's got a career high 10 on the season, and 40% of his goals coming in ACC play. They've got good midfield play that has also brought you goals as well, and set pieces, and guys like Patty Burns that can hit a dead ball.
Anor now just ran a little early. Got a little eager. That was tight. Virginia bench is complaining, saying we're looking right down the line.
We'll go back to Notre Dame in a second here because Stephen Anor, if you watch him, he actually stopped his run and then backed up a little bit. I was with the UVA boys here quite upset about the stoppage of play that was just in front of the top of the 18-yard box. Just watch the bottom right side of your screen. Hesitation there. Too close to call, maybe?
Tough to see. Honestly, where we are, we're about 7 yards back of the line where the AR was, where Andrew Charon was positioned. But I thought he was on from where we were at. I was kind of surprised to see it go up. Aiden O'Connor a little frustrated.
This poor ball takes a beating. frustrated. No, Connor.
Not carded for his troubles, though, so that's good.
Referee turned his sights another direction.
They choose not to serve it. Now they do. Williams has tons of space, so Connor blasts it out. The slide rule pass does not come off.
I would say to finish that conversation about Notre Dame, the biggest thing to me about the team this year compared to the one that went to the College Cup in 2021 and won the ACC tournament was leadership. Jacqueline, Mohamed Omar, and Philip Quinton. Those three guys really had such a commanding presence in times of need to get them over the line. Although attacking-wise, they've got more options this year. Don't see that same sort of leadership. That's not a good or bad thing. It's just different.
Yeah, that's a great point. So as Paul Visa makes way here, if you're just new to college soccer, you can sub out in the second half and return to the match. So none of these guys' nights are done per se. So we told you Notre Dame's a 1 seed. With that draw, Wake solidifies the number 2 seed now. And with Clemson's draw as well, they have won the Atlantic Division, and they get that 2 seed. The back end is pretty much locked up now too. BC, the 12 seed. Mercedo turns here. Edwards on the overlap again. Bawa cutting inside. And just kind of lashed at it. Goes out for a goal kick. BC will be your 12 seed. NC State will be your 11 seed. Virginia Tech is confirmed as the 10. And Louisville now the 9 seed. So they will be on the road. The Cards with their, you would think, their NCAA life in the balance, having to beat the 8 seed. Now that 8 seed is TBD. It was Carolina coming into today. But we'll see what happens here. So because of those results, Carolina knows they are playing. They don't know this, but they will be playing at home no matter what of the result here. The question is, who will they be playing and what seed will they get?
Foul, North Carolina.
You're gesticulating. What do you want to see happen here?
I'd love to see the third row, the bleachers and the band get a little love going for the home team. Let's get involved here. Let's spark some enthusiasm here with 10 minutes to go.
Good crowd on hand. They have not gotten much to get rowdy about. And they aren't the most self-motivated group tonight, Klockner Stadium. Norris on it. Riley Thomas just letting it walk its way out for a goal kick. Veteran.
Goal kick, North Carolina.
The Cavalier Marching Band is creatively named as the Dave Matthews Band. Hello, everybody.
We see you. We're saying hello.
I'd like to hear them, but maybe they're not allowed to play during live action.
If I just start screaming on air requests, do you think they'll hear them?
I mean, right now, yeah, I think they can hear you. I'm surprised nobody heard us talk about cookies and popcorn and brought it to us.
Let's hit them with a little Flight of the Bumblebee.
Wow, Duke ended up that final this way. Not finally, Duke's up 7-1 now. Just running it up. There's your touchdown and your extra point. Goals all over the conference with the exception of our game here tonight. The only goalless game on the day as of now, but we got 9:30 to play, and Stephen and Norm might have a shot. Trying to connect with Tiam, and good tracking back by Jamison Charles, who entered the fray about 8 minutes ago. Alquak trying to go the other way. Mercedo wanted to play to his feet. He decided not to. I'll tell you what, Alquak is cutting in no matter what on that right foot.
He's going. Well, this is what we talked about, the identity of the UNC attack going forward, and there's the decision making again. Ball right in front of you.
Yeah. Just look, and you see Nor's got his hands out right now, asking, why didn't you play me?
Everyone on the sideline does, including George Geldovac's little issue in the midfield for UNC, and Sam Williams going down again.
That's not what you want to see if you're Carlos Samuano, and Coach Samuano's making his way out there now. Looks like it might just be cramps, but Jamison Charles aiding one of their stars. Charles, senior from Minnesota, former Gatorade Player of the Year in that state. Stretching out his teammate.
Carlos Samuano just walked about 40 yards, walked over to Sam Williams, gets behind the player, very coyly just motions, do you need a sub? Sam shakes his head, glass of water. Samuano turns the other direction. You know, he gave him a lot of credit last year for Sam Williams and the role that he played within this team. They asked so much of him. He said, you know what, we're going to ask a bit more this season, and they've put the bulk of what this team needs to do on this young man's shoulders, playing deep within the midfield, asking him to advance the press going up top. A friendly reminder that he's a year ahead of his time. He reclassified to get into college last year at just 17 years of age. And that's a young man who is basically controlling one of the best collegiate programs in the nation.
As we said before, one of 2 college players to be called up this summer into the US U19 camp. Hollander trying to track it down, but Charlie Harper's there. Zinhart under some pressure. And UVA will get the attacking throw. Tiam battling. Martin Vician checks back in for Alquak. He'll push Bercedo out to this left wing. And it's tangled up with Zinhart.
Virginia.
More. Norris. Vela might have a chance. He does. Creates the turnover. And he wins the Cavs a corner. Under 6 to play. First corner of the match for UVA. Tiam is short. Hollander strolls his way over there to take, it looks like. The young fans hoping this is the moment. Floated back post. O'Connor's there. Tiam, and it's in! He breaks the deadlock! His 5th goal of the season. 4 in the last 6 games. He can't stop scoring. And no bigger a moment than now.
With all the attacking talent in the world, at their disposal. And the Cavaliers, this actually comes from the center back. And Aiden O'Connor coming off the back line. Watch him right around the penalty mark as he spins off to lose his run. He checks forwards, they switch the run. Matt Edwards was on him. They go with Charlie Harper, makes his way all the way to the backside and then attacks this thing to get it to the top of the 6. The idea here is that you're redirecting it into a danger area to allow a second or third runner to get underneath it, and that's exactly what happens. Traffic all over the place. Motiam just turns, drops his shoulder, and if you can put something on frame, you don't care how clean it is, as long as you can challenge the goalkeeper. He's done that and more to give them the lead and hope that that top 4 seed is still within reach.
10 game-winning goals on the campaign for UVA. That could be actually their 10th. If that holds, Tiam will have been involved in 6 of his 25th career goal in a college uniform. Radford for 1 year, transfers to Oregon State, all-conference player in the Pac-12, comes back to Virginia, and is doing it at the University of Virginia now. Gives them a lead with under 5 to play. Nice step there by Hollander. Little extracurriculars now. Excuse me, that was Reese Miller.
Give UVA credit, by the way, because a lot of teams will take someone like Motiam, who's 5'5", who's so good with the ball at his feet, and they'll drop him outside the top of the 18 for the secondary ball to pop out, or if they want to play short. Instead, they left him on the front post and just allowed him to roam a little bit. That's a design set play to allow your big center back to go up and win it.
Oh, Nora necessarily steps underneath Harper. He's down in a heap. Clock is running. Cortez asks, yeah, should we stop the clock here, ref? And Lucas Feathers does that. And Lucas Feathers tells the training staff for UNC to come out. Hopefully Harper's okay. As we went through the scores out of town and what was final, now that we have a goal here, we do know that UVA winning gives them the 3 seed, puts Clemson into the 4 seed. A draw because of Clemson's superior goal difference would put Clemson into the 3 seed and UVA to the 4. Either way, both teams will have a bye on Wednesday. As we take a look at what happened to Charlie Harper here, and Anor unnecessarily and somewhat cheaply just stepped underneath him.
He bridged him. There's no reason whatsoever to get involved, and a bit fortunate, to be fair, that he didn't pick up a card.
Yeah.
Carlos Samuano, you're going to feel a bit snake-bitten right now that you just eliminated one of the better attacking teams over the last 7 games in the ACC. Out of any sort of threat whatsoever, and specifically Stephen Anor up top in the 9 spot. This team had 2 shots, 1 on goal, 75 minutes into the game.
It's our first corner.
First corner of the game, 6 minutes to go. And yet the set piece looks like it could be the dagger for the visitors. We'll see.
I can get my older son shit. You guys get the buses in and out and all the other things involved.
And Harper's waiting to come back on, but he still is not let back on. So North Carolina's still playing 10v11 right now. And Harper does make his way back into the match. Under 4 to play. Looking to equalize. If this holds, as we just mentioned, UVA would be the 3 seed. North Carolina would get a 7 seed. They would actually move above Pitt because Pitt got destroyed by Notre Dame.
Goal kick, Virginia. Substitutions for North Carolina. Entering is number 10.
And Cafaro comes back in, as does Al Kwok. If you're Carlos Samuano here, Devin, you throw caution to the wind and start bombing guys forward? What are we doing here to try to equalize?
Well, with 3 and change, they've still got a bit of time to play, and certainly the personnel on the field that can put the ball on the deck. You can go direct, you can do a little bit of everything, but I'm removing the idea right now that you just have to play long ball. You start to get into the 60-second range, 30 seconds. Now we're having a different combo. Problem is you got to have the ball to be able to do that, don't you? How's this run?
Flag goes up again. Tiam thought he sprung his teammate. Thought he sprung his strike partner, but he wandered off again. Third offside of the match for UVA, all on Honor. But that did allow precious time to tick off the clock. Check out to Edwards. 120 seconds to go. Good ball to Thomas. Alquak clips it in. Connor wins the battle there. Hoofed out by Norris. Feathers just told Check to get up. Under a minute. Thought they were going to have a chance to serve the box in a dangerous area. Now we're going a little Route 1. Zinhart fires it up. Brought down by Alquak. Norris wins that battle. And he can't get it cleared, though. UVA crowd coming to life. They're looking to move to 6-0-2 in their last 8 games, outscoring opponents 15-4. It wasn't pretty, but this would be 3 points. All the same. Beachian. O'Farrell, 20. Williams. Pass pulls Williams back. 13. Got to get it in.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Check trying to, loses that battle with Miller, goes out for a corner that won't even be taken, or it will, but the clock will go off, and that's final. And Petruni went down hard after that. There's some extracurriculars here. This is